Some other problems that we have, how we use water in industrialized situations, right? So industrial water facts, it takes 1,000 kilograms of water to grow 1 kilogram of potatoes. So every time you eat a potato, 1 kilo of potatoes, it took 1,000 kilograms of water to irrigate those tomatoes. 10 liters of water to produce 1 liter of gasoline. 300 liters to produce 1 kilogram of paper. So we use our paper and we're done, throw it away, right? 300 liters of water. It takes 39,000 gallons to produce a car. Wow. And 215,000 liters to produce 1 metric ton of steel. So when we go to build things and use it, it's a lot of water that's consumed. So sometimes we take for granted when we purchase something, we don't understand what inputs went into it. And if we have more what's described and people are working towards it, especially with blockchain, resource-based economy, where we can calculate and that the price of goods should be based on the actual resources consumed in the production of the goods. Because currently right now, a lot of our pricing does not take into waste. They're not really pricing the water usage, right? They say it's free. I took it from the river, you can't charge me. So these are things in a permaculture standpoint we want to look at. How can we harvest water and we use it in a more efficient manner? Also, problem with water is that we have this zones between our lands and land masses, streams, and rivers, for instance, which is called a riparian zone. This is the area or the interface between two systems. And this area is basically where nature cleans water. Overland water flow comes through the trees and is filtered before going into the river. When we go and we clear forest, for instance, and we clear the forest all the way up to the edge of the river, then all of the erosion, topsoil erosion, can enter the river. It'll even kill the fish or downstream. So these are problems where we start to have to look into more of a conservation thing, also having to take in ethics and permaculture at the beginning, right? We look at our ethics. We probably also have to develop more ethics than just fair care, right? Sharing, love the earth. I may have to be against certain things. I'd have to be so ethically, I'd have to say I'm against ever cutting down any more old growth forest. If we continue to cut down all of our forest, right, what are we going to end up? What do we give to the next generations, right? So these are times that because of my basis of my ethics, I actually have to take on what I might call direct action. I have to speak up for, I have to tell people about different things and share with you like these issues, right? So if we have these effects, so we have this nice wetlands that we saw in the picture before, that's what cleans the water. That's nature's water filter, wetlands. But when we go in and we destroy these areas, we see these types of habitat, right? So this was a habitat for wild ducks, lots of birds, if you want to go bird watching, are in these types of areas. So we have to be very careful that, one, we don't destroy any further wetlands. So I can be against that. But I also have to have a question. If I have my plan, right, would you think about building a wetland on your property? How are you going to clean the water on your property? What if my neighbor has water flow from his property because he practices poor agricultural practices, and his water, when it rains, flows onto my property? I now have his, say, dirty or eroded water. How do I clean it? So here we have our water systems at Raktamachat. So I have a catchment of about 300 acres of watershed that comes through this pond. So when the rains come, it floods, it comes through this pond. I have 5 ponds in a row. And at the end of the property, we built a wetlands. So that when the water leaves our property, it's been filtered. All right? So in this instance, we want to capture water, but if we give it to people that are below us or downstream of us, okay, we also don't want to give them, say, contaminated or dirty water. So that leads to the concept of like looking at pollution in water, where people are putting things into our water. So there's more than 12,000 cubic kilometers, so that's 1 square kilometer of water, worldwide, which is that's basically been polluted, or what we consider polluted. So of the 0.0025% that we have access to, we've gone and polluted this 12,000 cubic meters of fresh water, so it's no longer can be consumed by humans. In developing countries, an estimated 90% of their wastewater, or their fecal matter, their sewage, right, is put directly into rivers and streams without any treatment. Don't do anything, it just goes straight into the river. Go to India, go in the Ganges River. It's not very nice, right? Can you get in there and maybe not get sick? Yes, but some people would get sick. So this is a thing that we want to look at. So in permaculture, we have systems, whether it's composting toilets or septic tanks with reed beds, that we can learn techniques that if we do go to places that may have less advanced technology, maybe they just don't know, we can help them with very simple solutions to some problems that are actually from a health situation, the people that normally die in these situations are children. So the kids either survive or don't because they get sick from these types of poor or sanitary conditions, okay? So different chemicals we also put into our water system. Its estimates will vary, but commonly believe that there's 75 to 100,000 different chemicals that we've created as humans. We've mixed things and made this weird chemical that are now present that we put into the world. And what's really weird about this is they combine once they're together to make other weird things that we don't even know the names for. So scientists don't even know, what is that called when you take these 100 chemicals and put them together and mix it up? Nobody knows. So in America each year we use over 2.2 billion pounds of pesticides on our agricultural lands, just in America. And that rate would probably carry over to all of the Western countries following monoculture, right? So imagine, and that's like poison. So this is a poison we're spraying over our land, and when it rains, where does it go? Into our river systems. So U.S. drinking water, if they test U.S. drinking water in most of the states in America, contains more than 2,100 different toxic chemicals that can be tested in drinking water that's sold. And still considered okay to drink, but it has all those chemicals. That's weird. So when 2 or more of these contaminants combine, the potency of those could increase by 100 times. So these areas where they can't no longer use the fresh water through contamination. So these are sites that you can look at. This is arsenic, really bad chemical. You can look at this in the EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency. So they're supposed to protect the environment in the U.S., but they mostly just report on degradation. So at this point, these are tainted water supplies throughout the United States just for that one chemical, arsenic. So in that town, they cannot drink the water. And that, you want to say that's forever. It won't ever get better, not within our life, like thousands of years, it's going to be like that. So what does that do when we get those types of things? We get what they call gender benders. We start to get people getting deformities, but we also see it first in the animals. The animals don't have the access to buy clean drinking water, right? So what do they get? Runoff water. So the increasing contamination of waterways by our endemic dispersing compounds such as contraceptive pills. Does any lady have put her pill? Oh, after you eat it and you urinate, it's still there, right? So the chemicals that we eat with medicines, hormones, different things, whether it's antibiotics, when we urinate, our antibiotics go into the water supply. So then that's now a fish has to be antibiotics. So these hormone treatments, psychiatric or other pharmaceutical drugs, they show basically characteristics which are alter genes. Two-headed snakes, two-end cows, all kind of weird things, right, are happening. So we start to see that's the first indication that we have water supply problems when we start to see animals having strange deformities. And then we get effects of different types of watershed pollutants, what's happening. So 1.5 billion people are estimated to lack safe drinking water, which means on a daily basis, they have to drink, because they will die, water that's contaminated. 2.2 million people die each year from diseases related to drinking contaminated water. And 50% of the people in Africa suffer from water-related diseases such as cholera or infant diarrhea. So one of the basis levels that we can help people when we go to these water-prone or situations is how to create better sanitary conditions. So if we can show them how to harness water, so water harnessing or harvesting, and then we can show them ways in which they can clean it, right, to utilize it, then the sanitary conditions increase, and then you don't have the death of the children. So each day, almost 10,000 children under the age of 5 in third world countries die as a result of illnesses contracted by the use of impure water. Not nice to think about, right? Every day. Every day. Tomorrow, another one, another one, another one. And where's the focus? Because we can focus on, like, say, wars and things. But where's the war on sanitation? Where's the water on everybody, or the rights? What is the most basic rights that we should fight for? Everyone to have this basic right. So this is like one of the focuses I would say for me in permaculture is to say, as an engineer, I find it really funny that these things are simple to build. We're going to see them later. And we go, wow, this is not really hard. This is really appropriate or accessible technology, right? So then I have to ask you a question. If you leave later and you travel, right? And then you learn knowledge, what are you going to do with it? just going to keep it and say, I don't know? Or when I go places, maybe I can see someone, I can say, hey, I can offer to help you this, say, look at this. So these are reasons that we may want to learn these types of things, because even if I don't need it, because I may have clean drinking water, if I go to visit a place that doesn't, I can help them. So at least 1 in 3 Asians have no access to safe drinking water, and at least 1 in 2 has no access to sanitation. That's basically the basis of how we describe developing or less developed nations. Water and sanitation. So when they go to the bathroom, where's the sewer go? Is it cleaned? And do they have running water? If you have those two things, typically we can kind of look at that as a developed world.